Hi everyone, this is Gail Queen, and I wanted to do a quick video about Excel. Now, some of you may have used Excel before, and if you have, great, then you already have a little bit of idea what it is. If you've never seen it, never used it, never heard of it, then I want to give you a little bit of an orientation to it. You're going to be using Excel a lot throughout the course, and I don't want it to throw you for a loop. All right, so first of all, Excel is called a spreadsheet. And a spreadsheet is basically, it is a database. It can be a database. You can use it to do things like store an address book or maybe keep your personal accounting or finances, keep track of all of that. You can use it for sales orders for a business, and it'll calculate all of your sales information. It's basically like a giant multi-calculator that can be used just in so many ways. And what I found in teaching this course is that students are thrown into using Excel. They don't really know what it is. And so they don't really tap into the power of how Excel can be used to your benefit. So I want to just give you a little introduction here. When you click on Excel and get down here to the menu at the bottom here, I don't know if you can see that or not. I hope you can. The Excel icon looks like this with a little green X on it. It is a Microsoft Office product, and you do need to use the most updated version. As a student at GCU, you have access to that, and you can, I'll put some information about that in the announcements. Anyway, this is what it looks like when you open Excel, and there's a lot of functions up here at the top. Don't let that scare you off. Just kind of ignore that for the moment. What I really want you to notice is the grid down here, all these boxes. So you've got several columns. So right here, I just clicked my mouse here. This is column A, and you can go over B, C, D, E, etc. And it goes on and on. After you get through the alphabet, it starts repeating the alphabet, A, B, A, C, and it goes on and on and on. However many columns you need, you can get them in Excel. And then over on the left-hand side, down the side, you have numbers here. These are for the different rows. Remember that rows go horizontally across, and columns go up and down like the columns on the front porch of a house. So the columns are named with the alphabet, and the rows are named with numbers. And the numbers go down just thousands and thousands down. You can go and get however many rows you need just by scrolling. So this is a huge database here. And each one of these little boxes has an address to it. And they use the column and the row to label the address. So for example, if I just click in the middle here, notice that I am over in column C, and we are down row 1, 2, 3. This cell right here that I clicked on with my mouse is cell C3. So each one has its own name and reference address. This would be cell B2, and this, of course, would be cell A1. Now, inside this cell, you could go in and just start typing. You can type words, you can type numbers, you could type, any kind of thing. You could format it to hold phone numbers or money or percentages or, whatever you want. If I want to have all of the information within the cells, I could highlight the entire column A by clicking up here where the A is. You click on that. I could say, I want all of the entries in column A to go to the middle of the cell. I want them to line up. Then you could go over here to the alignment and go up to the center here and click, and notice how it pops everything to the center of the column, right? So there's all kinds of ways you could do. You could have it also go to the left side or go to the right side. Okay, so you have lots of formatting options here. These are very much like the font, and everything's very much like what you would see in a word processor. If I wanted to change the font color to red, I would just click on this and it changes everything to red. If I wanted to go back to black, you would just click on black and it would change it to black. Okay, so some of it is going to be very familiar like that, but the calculating is what's going to be new. So let me just show you a few things. Now, why do I need this giant calculator, multifaceted calculator? Why not just use a regular handheld calculator? Well, when you need to do lots and lots of calculations, an Excel spreadsheet can do all of them at once, and you don't have to type in all of that stuff into your calculator. So that's the power of it. So let me just show you a few things here to try to give you some context. Okay, so I'm going to start in cell A1, and I want to type down column A, and in each cell, I want to type a consecutive integer number. So I'm going to start in the first box and type 1, hit enter. And then in the next box, I want the next consecutive integer, so I type 2, and then I could continue 3, enter, 4, enter, 5, enter, and I'm going to go all the way down to 10. Okay. So I had to type in all those numbers one at a time. Now, notice if I highlight a cell up here in this, they call this a formula bar, and notice how it just has a 1 there. That tells me that in this cell that I'm highlighted, A1, the only thing in that cell is the number 1, and it's typed in as a number. And you can go down and see the 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over to column B, and I'm going to highlight and center everything in column B. Okay, now I'm going to show you a different way to get the same column of numbers now. I am going to type a 1 in the first cell and hit enter. And now instead of typing the 2 and me typing in the 3 and the 4 and the 5, etc., I'm going to type in a formula. And whenever you use a formula in Excel, you have to hit the equal sign. So we're going to hit equal. And then I'm going to tell this cell what I want it to do. I want it to take the number in the cell above it, which is 1, and then I want to add 1 to that. If I add 1 plus 1, I should get 2, right? Okay, so we do equal, and instead of typing in even the cell reference, I'm going to highlight my mouse, and I'm going to say equal whatever is in cell B1. So just click on B1. Notice how it typed in B1 there. Equals B1. I'm going to hit shift plus sign and then 1. Enter. Now, notice the difference here. I have a 2. If you look at column A, I have a 1 in the first entry and a 2 in the second. If you look at column B, I have a 1 in the first entry, a 2 in the second. They look the same, but they're quite different. If I go back up and highlight cell B2, I want you to look at the formula bar. Notice how it doesn't just have the number 2 in there. It's got a formula. It's saying I just added the contents of cell B1 plus 1 more. And that's what it did. Now I want you to watch how nice this is. The powerful thing about an Excel spreadsheet or any spreadsheet is that you can copy and paste formulas, and it will copy and paste them relatively. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to, again, go back to cell B2, click your mouse on B2. I'm going to do this little copy icon up here. Now you can use the keyboard shortcut and hit Control C if you want to, or you can just roll your mouse up here and hit copy. Now, when you want to copy something, it will start surround that cell, and it'll have this tracking little notation here highlighting that cell. That indicates that you're holding it for the moment, copying it. And I'm going to use my mouse, and I'm going to go down to cell B3, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit paste. Now, notice when I hit copy and paste, it did not, I'm going to hit escape to make it quit highlighting that copy. All right, it did not just copy the number 2 and paste the number 2 in the cell. Instead, what it did is it pasted the formula. So if I look at the formula up here, it says equals the cell above plus 1. So that's what I copied. So every time I copy this formula, it's going to paste into the new cell, copy whatever's in the cell above, and add 1 to it. So in cell B1, I had the number 1. If I copy that and add 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. Now I have a 2 in this cell. If I copy that cell and add 1, I will have 2 plus 1. I get 3. And I can continue to copy this formula down. I'm going to do it again. Go to cell B2, hit copy. I'm going to highlight all the way down to 10 and hit paste. And it automatically puts in all those numbers for me. And I didn't have to type one at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. It did all of it at once for me, just by copying and pasting this relative formula. Okay, one more thing. Just to, again, show you the difference between these two. All right, so let me hit escape. Okay, now these two columns look identical, but they're not identical at all. In column A, I have static numbers. I literally typed in numbers, okay? And column B, I don't have numbers, I have formulas. And it's calculating and entering the answer to that little formula. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Now watch the difference, okay? I want you to really pay attention to this. I'm going to highlight both of these cells that have 10 in them. So click and drag your mouse over and highlight both of those cells. We're going to go up here and hit copy. And then I'm going to go down to the 11, row 11, and I'm going to hit paste. And look at the difference. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, in cell 10, I'm sorry, A10, I said to the spreadsheet, take the entry in cell A10 and copy it and paste it into A11. Well, what did we have entered into A10? We had a static number 10. I literally typed in the number 10. So what did it paste down in the next cell down? It literally pasted a 10 in the next cell down. On the other hand, let's go over to column B. It looks like I have a 10 in this cell. That's why we have the formula bar up there, so that you can see the difference. If I click on this, notice in the formula bar, we do not have a static number 10. We have a formula. And what I did here was copy the formula down one cell. And when I copy this formula, the formula itself says, take whatever is in the cell above it and add 1. So I copied that and pasted it here. So it said, take whatever's in the cell above it, which is 10, and add 1, 11. And it's going to give me an 11. Now we can do this again and again. Let me copy them again, hit paste, and watch what happens when I go down, way down. Okay, I'm just randomly going down and I'm going to stop. I'm going to hit paste, and look what happens. In column A, the only thing that's being copied is literally the static number 10. Every entry has the number 10. But in column B, it's copying a formula, and it's relatively copying that formula down so that it's adding 1 every time I go down a cell. It continues to add 1. So the power of an Excel formula is that it will copy and paste things relatively for you. And that is a huge lifesaver. Okay, now, one other thing. Let me just show you a couple more things, and then I'm going to end this video. Okay, so let's say I want to go over to column D, and I want to add up the first 2 entries here that are in A1 and B1. So I can clearly see that in A1, I have the number 1. In B1, I have the number 1. If I add 1 plus 1, I should get 2. Now, there's a bunch of ways that we can get the sum of these 2 cell entries into column D1. One way is I can tell, I can type it in. I can say equals, I see a 1 in column A1, so I could say there's a 1 in the first column, so I'll type in a 1, plus there's a 1 in the second column, I'll type in a 1, and that will, and then hit enter, and it'll give me 2. And it did calculate a 2 there. The problem is I took static numbers, 1 plus 1, and literally typed them in. Well, if I wanted to now go down a row and add up A2 plus B2, I can't just copy and paste the formula down. I would have to go and type everything in again. So I don't want to type numbers in. You do not want to do calculations by literally typing in your numbers and adding them up. Instead, we want Excel to do this for us. So instead of typing equals 1, the entry in cell A1, plus 1, the entry in cell B1, what I want to do instead is hit delete. It'll clear that out. I'm going to do equal. And now I'm going to use my mouse. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on cell A1 and then hit the plus sign. And then I'm going to use my mouse and click on cell B1 and then hit enter. Now I get a 2 there. And you go, well, what's the big deal? I could have just done 1 plus 1. Well, the big deal is with a formula there, I could go back over here and what if I change the numbers in cell A1? What if I put in 12? Then notice how automatically it adjusts and it says, I don't care what you have in that cell, it's automatically going to add it. It's going to automatically add those two numbers. And I didn't have to go back over and retype in 12 plus 1. It automatically calculates it just by you using the cell reference. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So when you're doing your work in Excel, you want to use cell references and formulas whenever you can. Okay, just to demonstrate again, let me do it the bad way. The bad way is where you're literally typing the numbers in themselves. 1 plus 1. Okay, and so in column C, I have the bad way of doing it. This is where you're literally typing in the numbers. In column D, I typed in the formula using the cell references, telling Excel to add the contents of cell A1 plus the contents of cell B1. Okay, now watch what happens when I copy these down. I'm going to use my mouse and I'm going to highlight both cells. Okay, and I'm going to drag this down. Oh yeah, this is the other thing I'll show you. Well, let me show you copy and paste first. So we can copy, and then I'm going to go down to 10 and then hit paste. And notice what it did. Do you notice how the bad way of doing it, when I have typed in the numbers 1 plus 1, then every single cell has 1 plus 1. And that didn't help me at all. But in column D, it says copy and paste the formula. In row 1, it says add A1 plus B1. In row 2, when I copy the formula, it says, oh, well, just add up the A and the B for that row. A2 plus B2, then A3 plus B3, A4 plus B4. And it just copied the formulas all the way down. So I'm getting the total of the two columns just by copying and pasting. All right, so we do not want to do static numbers. Let me just go ahead and erase this. You don't want to type in static numbers. Instead, you want to use cell references and you want to copy and paste them. Now, I did copy and paste. All right, so let me go. I'm going to show you one other way to get these numbers in there. All right, I'm going to go back up here where I have the formula A1 plus B1. And instead of hitting copy and paste, I want you to put your mouse on that little tiny square at the bottom right corner of that cell. And notice how your cursor turns into a plus sign there. So make it that black plus sign, click your mouse and just drag straight down and then release your mouse. And it automatically copies and pastes that formula down into those cells. So you can either literally go up here to the top and do copy and then highlight the cells you want and then hit paste, or you can drag down the formula with your mouse and it will automatically put the formulas there. Okay, so I hope this gives you at least a glimpse of what Excel is and how it can be used. I don't want the video to go too long or y'all won't watch it, but there's so much more that I could show you, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Just know that your topic 1, discussion question 1, they ask you to use some formulas and you want to not type in static numbers. Instead, you want to use formulas with cell references. So I hope this little tiny introduction, this is scratching the surface. You're going to be amazed at how much you can use Excel and how much you will be using Excel throughout the course. So shoot me a message if you have any questions, or you can go to class questions and put any questions that you have there. And I'm glad to answer your questions. Class questions, the entire class can read the question and see the answer. Or you can message me and I can answer an individual question if you need that. I do hope this helps, and I will see you in the next video.